Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka the best of a bad bunch, and this video we're breaking down episode 4 of The Bad Batch. So far, the series set in a galaxy far, far away has had a lot of Easter eggs, hidden details, and things in it that have made it a joy to recap and explain. In this video, we're going to be going over the latest entry and discussing what we think could be happening next time. Episode 3 saw the Bad Batch doing a Mandalorian Season 2 and crash landing on a moon as they made their way to Ida Floor. Omega was finally embraced by the group and she ended up filling the void left by Crosshair after proving that she had the mettle to make her way through the kind of missions that they would be going on. Wrecker ended up making a room for her out of what I believe was Crosshair's old one, and he himself realized that he was probably heading down the wrong path when we watched as the Empire brought in the elite troopers. As we know, civilians and mercs would go on to replace the clones, and he was simply helping to usher in a new era. So far the show has very much tackled with the aesthetic of conformity versus independence, and we've watched as the Bad Batch travel on highly different paths to Crosshair. They've even repeated scenes with different outcomes to show this motif, and you know it's like poetry, they rhyme. I also forgot to mention last time that Tarkin has now been promoted to Imperial Governor from Republic Admiral, further showing how things are changing. We pick up with Clone Force 99 drifting through space towards the moon Ida Floor. The last two episodes had them first showing up in hyperspace, but here they're gliding through, which hints towards how badly beaten up the ship is. The episode titled Cornered has them well cornered at several points, and I like this nice, slow and cold opening. I'd never heard of Ida Floor before, and after researching the planet, I couldn't find any instances of it mentioned. However, if you know a book, film, game or show that it's been in, then let me know, but it does seem like a new creation for this episode. The uninhabited planet is the perfect place for them to lay low, as because of its low population, the Empire haven't sent anyone to oversee it. Though the Imperials have a vast armada of ships and soldiers, they don't have the manpower to cover every single system in the galaxy, and planets without big populations are overlooked. This allowed the Jedi like Yoda to hide out on places like Dagobah, and it's smart that the Bad Batch are seeking out planets like this. However, they need supplies and to modify the ship so that they can scramble its signal to go undetected. This sends them to Pantora, which is a moon in the Pantora system located on the Outer Rim. In Star Wars lore, Pantora was blockaded by the Trade Federation and Ahsoka Tano was sent in to stop the takeover. Pantora also held a place in the Galactic Senate and is pretty much a market world that has similar setups to Mos Eisley. The Batch land in a hangar bay, which is operated by an Ugnaught, who you might recognise as being the same species as Queel from The Mandalorian. After taking some money to keep quiet, he betrays them and messages Fennec Shand, who you will also probably recognise from that show. This series takes place before she ever came face to face with Mando, and we discover that Omega has a bounty on her head. We've long been theorising that Omega is actually a Force-sensitive clone, which the Kaminoans started working on in order to have more product lines after the war ended. She is called Omega, which typically means the end, and creating a Force-sensitive clone would of course be the final stage of their development. Whilst the war was going on, the Kaminoans were dealing with the Jedi, so it makes sense that they would want to offer them something beyond the typical grunt that could easily fit into their ranks and help win the war. I believe that they were working on giving her the ability to wield the Force when everything went to hell and are now trying to retrieve her in order to stay relevant. Pantora is filled with all types of creatures, including Loth cats, who of course showed up in the Clone Wars at several points. They were also in The Mandalorian too, so again, it's like poetry, they rhyme. Now I love Hunter's design here, and though I've been saying for weeks I think he's based on Rambo, I also think it might be a nod to Billy from Predator. They enter the market to see the clones being cheered on after ending the war, and Rampart's chain code hologram is playing, which we saw pop up in episode 2. There's also several swoop bikes, and we can also see a clone trooper action figure, which is similar to the stormtrooper doll that Jyn Erso was playing with at the start of Rogue One. Omega draws some attention. I think that the Batch might have to decide whether they want to protect her and live with constantly being hunted, or have a free life after handing her over. Obviously, it will go the former with this being the kind of show that it is, but she's very much the person I think that will make them become parents. This could lead to them putting their lives on the line to protect her, and we know from an article posted by Screen Rant this week that the ending of the show is so sad it made the composers cry. So lots of sad things to look forward to on a Friday, and because of this I am expecting some deaths. Now speaking of Fridays, if you want to give me that Friday feeling, then please click the thumbs up button. It's the free way to help out the channel, and it means that I don't have to get a job and can do more videos like this. So cheers, I guess. Wait, that's a thumbs down, yeah? Shame on you. Now anyway, Omega finds herself alone in the market, where she's approached by Fennec, who, similar to the Mandalorian, is voiced by Ming-Na Wen. Echo is sold as a droid because of his tech parts, and at the back of the store, he comes across a protocol droid, similar to C-3PO. See kids, that's why you come here. You never would have known that on your own. Now Echo removes their restraining bolts, which you may remember appeared in A New Hope. Luke removed R2-D2's, and he went off to look for Obi-Wan on his own, and yes, it's like poetry, they rhyme. Fennec talks about being a merc and how it's okay to break the rules sometimes, and as we know, this idea of rule breaking would massively play into her character later on, as she worked for Moff Gideon for some time before leaving his Imperial squad to go on the run. She teamed up with Boba Fett and was paramount in Gideon's downfall, so I love how there's this foreshadowing here. Hunter catches up to her, but she manages to best him. However, the authorities show up in order to arrest her. She is and always has been somewhat of an outlaw, and is slowly becoming one of my favourite characters after the Disney Star Wars takeover. Things are starting to heat up, and Tech tracks Omega to a maintenance tunnel where Wrecker finds her, but she's being tracked by Fennec, who uses his weight against him. Omega ends up climbing up a maintenance tower, and at the top, she's cornered. After bringing the droids to the hangar, they start to fix up the ship, and we hear that one of them is called Clink. This is actually a nickname of an R2 astromech droid who was given to Mindonos when he was in Wraith's squadron. Probably not one and the same, but potentially this is a little nod to their character from the expanded lore. Omega is knocked off the edge, but she's saved by Fennec, showing that she's not all bad. Hunter grabs a swoop bike and follows them through the air after Shand drops her on a carrier, and it leads to a chase that reminded me a lot of the one from the first act of Attack of the Clones. Hunter is knocked off course, and Shand ends up killing some of the police in a moment that I really wasn't expecting to see. See kids, this show isn't for kids, now get the hell out of here. Now Hunter throws a magnetic mine to Shand's ride, and she's blown out of the sky, but we know from the trailer shots that she will be back. My guess is that she's gonna wait until they return to this planet, and though I don't think she will pop up in the next century, I think it'll be sooner rather than later. She might even end up getting employed by Tarkin or Rampart, who are of course looking for elite soldiers. This would give her a gateway to go on to meet Gideon, and there are a lot of potential routes that the show can take. She goes back to her contact and pays for him to keep an eye out for the group, and though I don't think that he'll ever pop up in the series again, I think this is more kind of showing that she's looking for them throughout the galaxy. The group deduce that Omega is a wanted bounty, and they decide to find out who's put the target on her head. I think that this is the Kaminoans, as all of Shand's actions indicated that she wanted the child alive, which they of course would too. They did want to keep her safe at the end of episode 1, so that just makes the most sense to me. However, it could be someone like Captain Rex who may have learned of her importance, and he may now want to keep her out of harm's way. I'd obviously love to hear your theories below, and it seems that she's far more important than the rest of the group is, as there are no bounties on their heads. Let me know who you think is after her, and if you're right, I can pass it off as my own theory and take all the credit. Thanks. Now as for the series so far, I feel like the episodes are slightly understated in terms of the over-the-top action and balls to the wall, well, balls. However, I am quite enjoying this more subtext-laced take, which centers more on the journey and politics of the galaxy rather than just non-stop shooting. That's not to say the action scenes aren't big and bad, but they do have more meaning behind them than your typical run and gun firing on all cylinders type scenes. Whether it's Crosshair gunning down one of the soldiers he's been told to train, or Omega crawling through a cave, every action scene feels like it has character development in it. I know that's kind of an old point to talk about, but it's just something I've not mentioned so far that I think is definitely worth applauding the show for. Again, this was another super solid episode that I really enjoyed, and though these entries are short and sweet, we're getting some of the best character development that there's been in a Star Wars property for a long time. I know the Bad Batch are often regarded as just things like the grunt skin, the heavy skin, and so on, but the show has done a great job of allowing us to actually get to know how they think and feel. They're of course having to deal with the fact that they're now outlaws, and it's a really gripping watch. So far, these 4 episodes have been a blast, and and I can't wait to see what happens at the halfway point of the series. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show, so make sure you comment below and let me know. As a thank you for interacting with the video, you'll be entered into a prize draw on the 30th of May, in which we're giving away 3 copies of the Godzilla vs. Kong collection. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the episode. The winners of last month's competition are on screen right now, so if that's you, then message me on Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. If you want something else to watch, make sure you check out our breakdown of why Omni-Man might have been right, which will be linked on screen right now. We've talked about the pros and cons of a Viltrumite invasion, and it's definitely worth watching if you want a little fun video. Now with that out of the way, thank you for sitting through this one. I've been Paul, I hope you have a great weekend, take care of yourself. Peace.